Good morning! I am going to make some Peroke today, which I know sounds strange, and it is strange. It is kind of like a salmon pie. I got this recipe from my grandma. So this is a salmon you're going to want to use. Mine is an Alaskan salmon. We actually canned it in Alaska before we moved. It is not smoked salmon. So this is smoked salmon. There is a difference. My alarm's going to go off in 30 seconds. So you don't want to use smoked salmon, but you just want to use just plain Jane canned salmon. I have not done this recipe with any kind of store-bought salmon because we have always had salmon available to us. But I did want to point out the difference that you want plain canned salmon and not smoked salmon. This one's like a really hard smoke. One of the first things that you are going to want to do is you're going to want to make your pie crust. And yes, pie crust. That is the base of the recipe. You want to make sure you do it where there is a double layer. So you want your bottom layer, and then you want to have a top layer as well to encase everything and make it super yummy. I use a recipe from Betty Crocker. It was a book that my mom had given me that we've had for, 30 years in the family. So that's the one that I use. I use the oil recipe. The oil pastry recipe for the pie crust is 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flours, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 cup of cooking oil, and 1/3 cup of milk. And once you get the pie crust rolled out the way you want it to be, this is gonna be hot. Just to clarify, you are going to want to make sure that you roll out the crust enough that it does go up onto the edge and the lip area. So once you have that rolled out, you want to put the pie crust in at 450 degrees for like 10 to 12 minutes. And you need to make sure you poke holes in the bottom first. That way it doesn't get like super bubbly and get all wonky, because that would be unfortunate. So I'm actually going to use this one for my Peroke because I forgot I'm doing quiche tonight, so I need to save that container for quiche. This is actually okay to leave in the refrigerator if you have prep. So you cook the bottom and then you add the filling into the pie, and then you can let it sit in the refrigerator covered until, the next day, and then take it out and cook it, and it's fine like that. I honestly think it tastes better that way because it gives the seasonings and like all the flavor longer to marinate and blend together. So in my personal opinion, I do think that Peroke is better the next day. So if I was to cook this tonight and we were to eat it, it would be okay, but the next day it's like 3 times better because it's had a chance to sit and mingle the flavors. All right, let's see. Okay, so now that my pie crust is in, you will be able to see that there are, spots that need a little TLC, and you just fix it. It's not hard. You just push it down into place, blend it up. That's a little thick of an area. And if you do have like excess in one spot, you can I'm not OCD. So let me make that really clear. I'm not an OCD person. So I can literally it doesn't matter. My husband, he goes crazy because I don't have any OCD. I'm not really like a super neat freak. I'm not very particular about how stuff looks. My oven is to temperature. It is at 450 degrees. My crust is not quite ready yet because I have to keep going around the edges. And it's okay if you have like the side part a little thicker. I personally really enjoy not like super thick crust, but I like a good crust. So if you have a good pie recipe, or if you honestly just prefer the store-bought pie, then like the store-bought pie crust, then just do whatever. I think I like this better just because the flavor and the nostalgia. Yeah, there's already air bubbles in here. The flavor and the nostalgia is what gets me. Just like for apple pies, my great grandma in Michigan made the best apple pies. And no matter where I eat apple pies, if I buy them in a store, if I get them at a restaurant, I have yet to have an apple pie better than my great grandma's. Now, my great grandma was also 96 when she died, and she would make all of her food herself for years and years and years, until she had to that's hot, until she had to go into assisted living, and they can't cook for themselves at that point. So that was unfortunate, because that was something she really enjoyed to do. All right. Okay. Now, this next part is going to be super messy for me, because this can of salmon still has the skin on it. I saved the skin. Not for me to eat. I have a cat and I have a dog, so both of them enjoy eating the skin off the salmon. I mean, if you don't have any animals, you probably should just throw it away. I mean, I don't know. Unless you... that's a personal opinion. I don't eat the skin. I don't like the skin. I've had skin before. I've had salmon eggs before. It's just not my thing. I just don't enjoy it. So I get rid of the oily broth in here. So I get rid of the oily broth in here, and I have to peel the skin off the salmon. But you can see the broth. Literally just drain it. These pieces of salmon are very big, and my cat's already crying. Give me food, Mom. It smells so good. Stay down. She is. She's like trying to climb on up here. Okay. And I have a bowl. In this bowl is where I'm going to be putting my salmon, my rice, my cream of chicken, my salt, my pepper, my garlic powder, my onion powder. Maybe a little parsley. A little. Stuff goes falling. Okay, let's see if I can tilt it down a little bit. Please ignore my cat if you can. Maybe I'll just let me fast forward. Stop. Uh-oh. Don't fall. Okay. So, see the salmon skin? There's not only salmon skin here, but there's salmon fat. I personally remove the fat because my husband very much doesn't like salmon. If you leave the fat on the fish, it makes it very fishy tasting. Did she just get something? Oh no, she just knocked my mitten down. So what I do is I take the skin off. Okay, so We're at the bottom of the jar now, finally. I'm just going to put the rest in, and I'm going to give it to my animals because I'm nice and they'll find it delicious. All right. Salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, parsley flakes, just a little, and I use cream of chicken. The last ingredient we will be adding is actually rice. People are going to hate this part, but I don't actually measure out my seasonings. I don't. I just kind of eyeball it. Rice. However, if you make fresh rice just to specifically do this recipe, I would recommend at least cooking where the end result would be 4 cups of rice. Because as you do taste sampling throughout the process, before you either put it away or you cook it, you might find that the taste doesn't quite fit your fancy. Ooh, I almost forgot. You want to add sour cream too. Let me grab that. I think I have like a little bit of sour cream. I do. Sour cream! Woo! Alright. Sour cream. So, really hard for me to sit here and gauge how much rice I put in. I do want to try to save some rice because I'm starving and I want to be able to eat that leftover chicken today after this video. So, let's see. Cream of chicken. Nothing special. It honestly doesn't matter if you get like the fat-free or reduced fat, anything like that. I think that I would just do what you prefer. I've done it with the low fat or reduced fat and fat-free. It was fine. There's a lot of natural fat within the salmon itself that you don't really need to be adding too much processed fat. So, it'll be fine. Yes, you will need the whole jar. Yes, I just dropped my fork. Firstly, scrape this off. I'm not going to be putting this in the sink, my rubber spatula. I'm going to keep my rubber spatula because once I migrate the salmon or the Peroke filling into the pie den, I'm going to use my rubber spatula to smooth everything out. I'm going to mix this first before adding the seasoning. Does it matter? No, probably not. But this is just what I do. This is how we do it. I also grabbed one of my children's forks instead of a normal fork. So this is probably going to take me longer. And the cat comes back. I put the food, I put it out and about. Y'all. You will really want to mix this quite well. You aren't going to want to do this like half-ass, okay? Like, you need to make sure that the salmon's broken up, that it's mixed in fairly evenly with all the rice and the cream of chicken and the sour cream. That's why sometimes it's easier when you have warm rice, but my rice separated fairly fast. So that doesn't make me super worried or concerned. It smells good. I don't know if anyone else thinks salmon smells good. I like salmon. I don't like fresh salmon. Fresh salmon, to me, I just don't like the raw fish. I don't like the smell of raw fish. When you can it, the canning process cooks the fish all the way. Now you can smoke it like we've done, or you can do like a brine on it, where you like give it a little salt bath with maybe like some brown sugar. We've done that before too. But for this one, you just need some plain old canned salmon. And this is just coming a hot mess a little over here. Okay, so you don't have to go super heavy on the salt, okay? Because the salmon is probably already fairly salty if you canned it, because like I said, they usually go in some sort of brine bath. But you can always add a little. As I hit my head, you can always add a little. And then when you have all your seasonings in, you mix it up and you take a bite. Nothing in here is raw. It's cold, which is kind of gross. But you're going to want to test it before you put it away. Okay. Again, I don't measure it out. I eyeball it out. So you kind of have to be... I think if this is your first time doing it, definitely maybe just do like a little bit, mix it, taste it, and then, you know, be like, oh, I could use a little bit more garlic, or I could use a little bit more onion powder. I personally go a little bit more heavy on the onion and the garlic powder. Again, personal preference, personal opinion. Ooh, it's actually like affecting my nose. Ooh. Ooh. So I would say maybe a teaspoon of parsley. Does that help? I gave you one. Oh, that pepper in my nose. Okay. And then you just mix it again. I will say this is like one of my kids' favorite recipes, like favorite dinners. They love having Peroke. The salmon pie. And then like, I can't really take a whole lot of credit for it because it's not my recipe, it's my grandma's, but I did tweak it like a little bit, but I think it's, I don't want to be like an oldie but goodie, but it is good. I know some other people add like chopped onion to theirs. It's not like that's being extra. It's just, I just don't do it. Some people also use pork, or not pork, what the hell is it called? Oh, some people use like sausage or beef instead. And they make something similar to this, but this is Salmon Peroke, and I've always made Salmon Peroke. That pepper is about to make me sneeze. Okay, so I mixed it. Mixed it up pretty good. Taste test. Aside from the cold rice texture, the flavor's perfect. There's like only a little hint of salmon, which is just how we like it, or how people in the family like it. There's a little bit of salmon flavor, and it's just, it's right. The flavor is spot on. I'm not going to add any more flavoring to it because it's sitting overnight. Those flavors are going to combine and mix together. So if I add any more flavoring or any more seasoning, it would be too much. Now, okay, this one is a little loose. That's unfortunate. Again, I broke my main pie dish that I love. I broke. Not on purpose, obviously. But I was trying to reorganize stuff in my cabinet, and unfortunately, it slid right off the other pie tray, or pie pan, whatever you want to call it, and just like shattered on the ground, and it was like a really nice red and like cream color ceramic pie dish. It was beautiful. Okay, so now we're gonna push this down, and it is okay if it's higher in the middle, you know. I mean, this one, it's gonna be, but I am just gonna smooth it around. Smooth it around. Try to make it level as possible. Since I have a top layer going over, I'm not too concerned about the sides and the edges. Alright, I'm done with this fork. This fork is gone now. Bye, fork. There's not a lot of like salmon and rice in here, but there's a lot of sour cream and cream of chicken, and I don't want all that moisture just to go to waste, so I'm going to scrape it out and put it in my pie dish. I haven't been sleeping well lately. I don't know why I felt like cooking a whole bunch today. I'm not sure. It's just like I got this weird feeling. I was like, those motherly instincts were kicking in, and I was like, I should make muffins. I should prep dinner for tomorrow. I should do dinner preparation for tonight. And it was weird. It's just like one of those moments like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to do it right. Okay. Beautiful. Right? Not done yet. Close. Very close. All right. So this is my second half of the pie crust. I already said the recipe in the beginning, so I'm not going to repeat it again. Okay? All right. Again, I'm not OCD. You see how wonky my rolling skills are? I don't even care. I don't. I know it's horrible. I'm sure there's somebody out there watching the video who's like, why won't you make it even? No. I'm sorry. And you know what? It's not necessarily like my time is too precious to sit there and try to make it like super even and super pretty. But, however, if I was to sit there and do that and try to make it like super perfect, my anxiety would go crazy. Like trying to be perfect and it just stresses me out. Like I don't need to be perfect. I don't need this pie that's going to be eaten in like, tomorrow, and it will be gone within 30 minutes. I don't need it to be beautiful. I just need it to be edible. And I know people are like, take pride in your work. No ma'am, no sir, no. It is what it is. If you want your pie to, be gorgeous and the crust to be, super cool, good for you. I like that. I like seeing pretty pies and whatnot, but I'm not doing that. Just like with any other pie, you're going to want to ventilate it. So you're just going to sit and stab the pie. I used to do like smiley faces and like try to be creative. I'm not creative. This is done. At this point, you can stick it in the oven at 350 degrees for probably about 45 minutes. Everything in here is cooked all the way through, minus the pie topping. But you don't want raw pie crust topping. That's gross. So you can leave it in the refrigerator. You can leave it in the refrigerator overnight and cook it the next day, or cook it now. Just make sure you cover it in plastic wrap. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you had fun. I hope maybe you'll try the recipe and maybe you'll like it. And if not, then I'm sorry, you're lost. Bye. Bye, everyone.